Hey friends, welcome to the show. I'm your host today, and okay, this is wild. I'm talking to somebody who has gone from like teaching Shakespeare to becoming Alabama's official STEM guru. And we're gonna unpack that a little bit. She's got middle schoolers competing internationally. She's won like Woman of the Year, Woman of the Universe, and wait for it, she's teaching people how to teach while yeah, she's paying them. So if that doesn't have you leaning in, right? Hey, Dr. Michelle Eller, Superintendent, Sylacauga City Schools. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here today.
So it took a while to get you on this show. Yeah, the
Yes.
big dogs, they usually kind of they tarry out there for a little bit. Hey, let's start with this. Let's start with this. You literally you are the state's expert in STEM education. Miss Becky, my wife, is a science specialist, and all she wants to talk about is STEM education. So I think the two of you could order pizza together. You're on the governor's committee, right? You
Yes.
started as an English teacher.
Yes.
That's what we call a juxtaposition, right? That's like Gordon Ramsay starting out like as a vegan activist. Just tell me, how did that happen?
So I did teach English. I taught theater for probably 14, 15 years. I transitioned into a instructional coach position. And in that instructional coach position, I worked with all four high schools with all content areas. And then from there, it opened up doors where I eventually went in to be a director of curriculum and instruction, which encompassed career technical education.
Sure.
And I had not really dove into that area in my previous, educational career, and really fell in love with career technical education, fell in love with all the different subject areas, saw the need for STEM education, really K through 12.
I'm gonna drill into that a little bit because you love something that you were very familiar with. It was part of your origin story,
Right.
or was it as a love of something that we were unfamiliar with and just wanted to learn more out of curiosity? Tell me your story.
I would say unfamiliar. So if you just to give you a glimpse into who I am, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it 150%. I'm going to learn everything there is to learn about it. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to ensure that if we are rolling something out, that I believe in it just as passionately as um, as I'm asking my people to. And so when I jumped in, when I first actually started attending some STEM conferences in Georgia, they have the Reese Center over there does a STEM conference every month, every year. And so I'd gotten some information on it. I went, I just saw how it could transform what we're doing in our classroom. And really, I would be more embracing STEAM than
Mm,
STEM because the arts fit beautifully in there with the science, the technology, the engineering, the math.
I agree.
And so when I came back, I started mapping out what that could look like in our schools, how we could cultivate it with our students, how we could get their interest, their love in it. I started organizing a STEAM camp that occurred every year. We first started targeting just females so that we could get girls excited about engineering and excited about STEM
Did I
courses.
read
And
something about like a mother-daughter camp?
mhm. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we did a mother daughter
What a
team.
niche. What a niche
Yes.
market.
And so then our daddies wanted to come, so we had to
Of
kind of
course.
revamp that a little bit, and then the boys got upset that they were not invited. And so my last year doing that in that role, we invited the boys too. Um, and it was such a neat event. It really skyrocketed our STEM courses so that attendance was up at middle and high school. I partnered with business community leaders across the Eufaula area to help me do it, and that's what really I would say maybe skyrocketed or really spearheaded my career from there. I was put on the governor's ACCCP TAC committee for STEM. I served on that committee for several years. I also was recruited at that point to go to Chickasaw City Schools to be their assistant superintendent and to transform their schools as well, which I was able to do. And then that really led me to where I'm today with Sylacauga and the work we're doing in our schools here. All of that prepared me, but it never would have happened if I hadn't have taken the plunge from going from classroom teacher to instructional coach to building admin to jumping into a whole different school district and becoming that director of teaching and learning and taking on career technical education.
I love it. I love it where an experienced leader becomes the learner.
Yeah.
You know, where
Yes.
we really put ourselves in places where we just don't know, we're not competent,
Right.
and oftentimes you see new life coming back to, I'm not gonna say old leaders, I'm just gonna say experienced leaders because they're putting themselves into
Well,
places like this.
we always need to be in a place of learning because the world we live in is constantly changing at a rapid rate.
I would say
And
even more so, it has changed.
oh
Let's
yes.
just
And I
admit.
mean, and we are preparing students for careers that don't even exist yet.
Right.
If you think about some of the careers that are out there, they weren't there when you and I were going through school. And so if we don't stay on top of things, we're gonna miss out not only ourselves, but we're gonna miss out on opportunities that our students could have. And at the core, that's why we're here. You know, we are here to develop the future workforce. That's what K-12 education is here for.
Amen to that. That is a mission statement that is as crystal clear as I've ever heard it. So, Southern Region Educational Board District Leadership Award, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Woman of the Year from the Chamber of Commerce, that's a big deal. Jean,
That was a really big surprise. You know, I've never won anything personally
wait, I'm
because
not done.
oh
you're collecting these awards like Pokemon cards. I mean, the Gene Bottoms Pacesetter Award. I gotta know what's happening in Sylacauga that has everybody's attention right now.
well, we expect excellence and we are, you know, when I first arrived, we did a deep dive analysis of where we were. We looked to very realistic of where we were academically, where we were facility wise, where we were with meeting the needs of the whole child. And from that analysis, and SRAB came in and helped us with that. From that analysis, we put some things in place to ensure that we were doing all that we need to do and more for our students. And so from that deep dive analysis, we then put measures in place, whether it was equipping staff with resources, whether it was equipping staff with coaching, whatever the need was, we ensured that supports were there to move them to that next level that we know they needed to move to. Because we know that the classroom teacher is the number one factor in student achievement. They are the number one. And if we don't invest in our folks that are in the trenches, we're not going to get the results that we want to get. And
Right.
so I put coaches in every single building so that they can handhold our staff and get them to that next step. And then the other part of that is really inspecting what you expect. So you can say that you expect excellence, you can say that you expect these instructional strategies to take place, but if you're not monitoring that and providing feedback, then you're really missing the boat on that. It's not going to be effective the way you need it to be effective.
Yeah.
So
So
we
good.
formed Google Forms that we could do quick snapshots of classroom instruction that would provide immediate feedback back to the teachers. And I go in and do it myself. So you never know when I might pop into a classroom with my iPad doing a quick walkthrough of what I'm seeing in that classroom because they need to know I'm invested just as much. And I need to see that the things that we're putting in place, I'm seeing come to fruition.
Right,
And
right.
so we do frequent walkthroughs that we have the feedback. And then we actually have those conversations on, okay, here's what we've seen. You know, we've popped in your class all year long. You know, here's some things we've seen that have gone well, and here's some things that we still need to see improvement. What do you need from us so that you can improve in this area? Do you
I
need
what
to
I
go?
love about that is you came in, you did a quick sniff to find out where your gaps were, and it didn't take you about a hot minute to establish standards that you expected, actually, not you, but your community expected.
Yes.
And then you put the support systems together. You didn't just stick the standards up there and say,
Right.
come on now, because some of the worst coaches in the world that I've had have stood on the sidelines and said, come on, rah, rah, pull your head out, or whatever stupid
Right.
coach phrases, without laying out a plan that helps me get better. It helps them get better. And you understand what you're looking for when you come into a classroom. You're not somebody that just sits in their superintendent's office and, is navigating new bus routes. Uh-uh.
Right.
I
Right.
love it. Love it.
And I meet on the onset, I met weekly with my admin team, and that included central office administrators and our principals. I required them every week to meet face to face on the onset because they had worked in isolation. So each building was almost its own little kingdom. And we're a feeder pattern school. We've got four schools, they all feed into each other. So there was absolutely no reason why we could not have vertical alignment going through, whether it be instructional strategies, whether it be practices, whether it be rules, all those things needed to be consistent going through. So there's a good transition from children going from one building to the next. And so we worked a lot on collaboration. Worked a lot on being really a high quality team that could join together to meet the needs of our students, to meet the needs of our staff, and to really move our district to the next level. I challenged them on the onset. There's a difference between being a part of something and being committed to something.
So true. So
And I asked my staff to sign commitment letters that they were committed to Sylacauga City Schools.
is there anybody that didn't sign it? You don't have to say the name, but is there
Yeah,
anybody that didn't?
everybody signed it. I gave the charge. I said, look, do you want to just work here? Do you want to just be employed here? Are you committed? Because we're about to move this district where it needs to be. And I can't do it alone. I need you to be all in.
Wowzer, folks, you're listening to somebody that is. We don't need any more leaders, I think, in the superintendent's office. Yeah, there's probably a shortage, but we have a shortage of quality leaders like this one right
Right.
here,
Thank
folks.
you.
So you just received that. As much as you're giving accolades to teachers, I also think same thing. We have a teacher shortage.
Right.
Would you agree?
So
Even
I
more
will
so.
put the plug in. We're fully staffed.
Yeah, we're gonna go there. I also with the disclaimer that says same thing. Well, there's plenty of teachers out there looking for work. I think we have a shortage of the quality teachers, right? That are maybe out there. What I love about the fact that where I'm gonna go next is you take teachers or you take people that want to be teachers, right?
Yes.
You're kind of running this teacher apprenticeship program where people I don't know, this might have been a misprint through AI or something where but, they're getting paid and they're getting college credit.
And their college is paid for. So their college is paid for and they're getting paid. This is through the Alabama Office of Apprenticeship. We have a partnership with them and with JSU. And so we're only one of three districts in Alabama that took advantage of it. And so we took two of our instructional assistants that we knew had the qualities to make a very good teacher. One is at our elementary school, one is at our middle school. And so the very first year in the program, they co teach with a mentor teacher. And then the second year, they actually get the opportunity to have their own set of students with that mentor teacher coming in and giving guidance. And so we're using both of those apprentices this year as interventionists so that they could get small groups of students, get comfortable teaching and working with a small group, so that next year, when they're finished with their coursework, when they're finished with the program, they're ready to take a class on all on their own.
That is amazing. I what I read from your very essence, Doc, is no excuses. I mean,
Oh,
many
yeah.
superintendents that I bump into out there are saying, we have a teacher shortage," and you're like, "Hey, just hold my sweet tea here for a minute. I'm going to build me some more teachers. You just
Yes.
you just took
Yes.
it on. You look
Yes.
for the opportunity. But maybe some real talk here. Are these apprentice teachers uh, maybe as good as the regular ones because
Mhm.
they've been a part of your program?
Well, and that's the thing. So they already knew the expectations of Sylacauga City Schools. They already knew the expectations. They already knew the clientele that we serve. They already knew their buildings because they had been employed there as an instructional assistants. And then what better way to learn than to put you with a phenomenal mentor teacher that you can watch every single day as they interact with students, as they write lesson plans. As I mean, to me, there's no better education than that. You can take all the education classes in the world,
Right.
but I learned the most when I interned. And unfortunately, that was only a few weeks, and then I was given the class on my own. I mean, you think about this, they really have interned for an entire school year from beginning to end. They saw what it's like at the onset of the year, what it's like at the end of the year. They were able to see interactions with parents. They were able to see interactions with students that might be a little more difficult. Um, so, I mean, what an amazing opportunity and get paid. I
So
didn't get paid to intern.
another probing curiosity that I have because teaching is almost an impossible profession. Right? If you are a quality teacher and you are doing all the right stuff, it is hard. So my
Yeah.
wonder is these apprentices, did you lose any about halfway through going, I'm out, I'm tapping out. This is the hardest thing I've ever
No,
really. So the
no,
support systems were there, the models were there, the care and
yes,
attention was there, the you can do it was
yes, yes.
there.
I have we tend to get teachers that have been in districts neighboring ours. And the one thing that I hear over and over again from these teachers that join us from other districts is I've never had the support at a school like I have now. You know, they said, I've never had that support before. And I just want to tell you thank you for
Wow,
making sure that
wow,
we're
wow.
supported. And
Yeah,
and to me
retention.
that means a lot because I never want to forget what it was like in the classroom. I spent 16 years in the classroom. I never aspired to be a leader. People kept pulling me into positions. If it was up to me, I'd still be teaching 11th grade English and theater. I didn't have any aspiration to ever you know, go anywhere else. And if you would have told me one day I was going to be a superintendent, I would have probably cackled a little bit and said, okay, whatever. Um, but the Lord had different plans,
I
and
think
other
there's
people
always
saw,
more. There's
yeah,
always
all
more
other
going
people
on
saw
out
things that
there.
I didn't see.
Yes, it is a calling. You
Yes,
just
it
got
is a
you
calling.
got called to different
Yes,
places to work on
yes,
system stuff to provide the right conditions for your teachers to be successful. And I tell you what, that probably is the most worthy work that one could live
yes,
their lives for. So
yes.
I'm really celebrating you. I want to talk quickly about the midweek minute. I
Oh,
look at that. You post it on a regular basis. I
yes.
think it's a great way to just keep your people informed. You're on the radio. Most superintendents are kind of hiding behind all that superintendent stuff. I was one, and I know what superintendent stuff is to
Right.
hide behind. But you're kind of like the podcast influencer out there. Why is
Well,
that important to you?
I'm not from Sylacauga, so I was a transplant coming in. And I felt like the community really needed to know who I was as a person. You have to trust who's leading your people. You have to trust who is in that place of leadership. And so to me, it was important one for them to have trust in me as a person. But number two, if we don't tell our story, no one else will. And so I felt it was important for us to celebrate all the great things that are happening in our school system and great things that had happened long before I got there,
There you go.
but no one had ever told
Give credit.
me. Right. And
Mm.
so, Sylacauga City Schools has a long history of excellence. But it's untapped. It's almost an untapped area that, the rest of the world didn't know. And so to me, it's important that we tell our story so that others know what we're doing. And what better way than to do it with a weekly podcast?
I love it. I love it. So, final big question. Okay, you're on the governor's committee. You got all these national awards that just would make people gobstopped. Your middle schoolers are competing globally. Michelle, you're kind of like the master. I got to know the master plan here. You're Alabama in okay, I'm from the Midwest where we have a lot of education friendly stuff going on. We looked to
Yes.
Alabama and you got kind of a brand down there of maybe not playing so well in the world of education, but you're proving me wrong. You are absolutely are you trying to make like Alabama the new MIT of the South? What
Well, just a
what is
side note,
going
I
on?
did go to middle school in the Midwest.
Okay, okay.
And so I also remember when I first came back to Alabama, the reputation that Alabama had, being maybe below Mississippi or right above Mississippi. I also lived in Mississippi too, and that's not good enough.
We can throw New
Um,
Mexico in there as well. I mean, just some
yes,
suffering states in the
right,
world of education, but
right.
you're creating these super students that are going out and really transforming much of
Well, and
how we
that's our
think.
goal.
Mhm.
That's our goal. Like I said, we're creating the future workforce. We're creating for jobs that don't exist yet. And that's our charge. And so we want to make sure when our students leave us the day after graduation that they are prepared for that next step.
Yes, 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 and maybe just between us, is this kinda like, this revenge for people underestimating, what
Maybe a little bit.
Alabama?
Maybe a little bit. I'm very
Because I love
competitive.
it. I
I'm
love it.
very, very competitive. And so if we're going to do something, we're going to do it all the way.
Okay, for a colleague out there who might not believe that they are in a position to win, every superintendent that I know has a good headwind in their face right now. They've got a lot of interference to just get in the way of them doing their good work. So they're maybe watching their magical retirement date and just holding on, right? Just holding
Right.
on for
Right.
that thing to finally and knowing down deep that there's something more. You got a quick little pep talk in you for that colleague going, I wish I had.
I'd say put your feet in the sand. That's what I do. Put your feet in the sand, stand firm, and keep persevering.
Mm,
Because if we can transform districts that are high poverty, high minority, districts that didn't feel their worth, you can as well.
so
We're not talking about a lighthouse district where everybody's driving BMWs. My students are high poverty, high minority. We're at 70 something percent free and reduced lunch. And we have been able to move from a C on our report card to an 86. It can be done, but put your feet in the sand and stand firm.
love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Michelle Eller, thank you for being just a real human. And to prove that, we're going to do one more thing. Got
Oh
this
no,
lightning round that we do at the end of each show. Quick, no, not a whole lot of thinking here. So you got to be not only feet in the sand, but those feet got to be on your toes. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Best quote to live by:
I would say we can always do better.
beach vacation or mountain?
Beach.
Beach it is. Here's a big one. Can't mess this one up. Roll Tide or War Eagle?
I have to say War Eagle all the way.
Why is that?
I have a doctorate from Auburn.
Come
I went for
on.
academic.
Coffee or sweet tea, ma'am?
Definitely coffee.
A coffee it is. Okay, most embarrassing song on your playlist?
So what you don't know is I also taught. I was also the dance coach for several years, and one of their favorite that they love to run out to, and my husband always thought it was comical as well, would be "Who Let the Dogs Out."
Oop, oop.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, if you weren't a superintendent, what are you gonna be doing?
I'd either be floating on the lake somewhere or
No, no, no,
selling real
you're still
estate on the
gainfully
lake.
employed doing important work.
Yes.
You're selling real estate someplace.
Yes. Probably on the
Okay.
lake.
Alright, alright. How about the weirdest food combination that you absolutely love?
So, although I was born in the South, most of my childhood was spent up north and out west. But my mother made sure that we still had some Southern uh, food in our repertoire. So I would have to say it's probably black eyed peas and pea liquor and cornbread.
You're gonna have to use AI to figure that out, folks, 'cause
Yes.
I
You can
know
thank my
I
mother
know
for
that
that.
there's no alcohol in that, but it is,
No.
that's a specialty dish. Okay, best of advice that you've ever received.
I would have to say from my dad,
Mm,
and that was, "You have one name, wear it well."
deep honor there, deep honor.
Yes.
Changing gears, celebrity crush from your teenage years.
I
Can
had
we go there?
so I had so many, but if I had to pick one, it would probably be MacGyver after I had the privilege of having breakfast with him. Uh, it would have to be MacGyver.
I think he taught you a few of his hacks, 'cause you're blowing up a lot of the wrong stuff in education right now. I absolutely love it. And last one, just a word to describe Alabama's education future.
I would say moving forward. So that's 2 words,
Hey, I'll
but
give you as many as you need.
I would say moving forward.
Got it.
We are collectively moving our state in the direction it needs to go to impact the lives of children. And that comes from having, state superintendent that's, innovative. That comes from having 138 district superintendents that are committed, having, state boards that are committed, having our own, like my school board that's committed. So I think our state recognizes where we were and where we need to be, and we're going to make sure that we're on the map.
I love it. I love your commitment. I mean, you talk about that. I mean, your feet are in the sand, and you just show us that innovation doesn't just require permission, right? It requires imagination, determination, persistence, and apparently maybe a theater background. So it's been such an honor to have you on this show.
Thank
And
you.
you're joining us from a hotel room because you're at a kind of a big dog conference right now. And that's commitment right there,
Yes.
folks. That is commitment. I want
Well,
to ask
we have to be
anybody attending.
lifelong
Go ahead.
learners.
Go ahead.
It's important that we're lifelong learners.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I want everybody to share this show with somebody that needs this golden nugget because this is the best advice I think I've ever had in terms of just the gravitas of quality leadership and practical principles, folks. So yeah, this is kind of full contact sport here. We're all committed, totally
Yes.
committed. So I'm just going to ask everybody to follow Dr. Eller's example and just keep breaking those